Hello everybody and welcome back to EV Solar and Kilowatts It. So I want to talk to you today about solar netting. This is a sort of bird exclusion device that's fitted around your solar panels to keep out pigeons. Now, a lot of people probably won't really suffer with this. Depends on your size of your house, the orientation, where the panels are, where you sleep, but pretty much in our house, after we had the panels installed, just jumping ahead a little bit here, just as soon as they were installed, the pigeons found it and they would crawl underneath and they would be cooing this incessant, monotonous coo for hours on end. And in this, when we had the installation in September, we had a really glorious September. So it was sunny mostly all the day, and from 6:30 in the morning, pigeons would dive underneath the solar panels and start cooing until throughout the day, and it was driving me insane. Particularly sat here in my study where the solar panels are right above my head. Just in this corner here, there'd be one pigeon, one big fat burly pigeon that would dive underneath there and try and call in his mate every morning, yeah, I was getting quite fed up with it, resorting to going outside and clapping my hands to sort of shoo them away. I've even thrown tennis balls at the damn things. Hugely frustrating, annoying, and I looked, when I installed the solar panels, I looked into everything that you could possibly look at, from cost per kilowatt, the various installers, the different types of panels, the inverters, the micro inverters, layout, the number of panels, solar projection, everything. The one thing I didn't look into was this bird protection. It was offered by my installer for just under 200 quid. And I thought, 7,000 quid for an installation, I'll get it done. The installer said to me at the time, look, you can, but not many people get it done. So I'm kind of thinking, well, do I bother or not? Well, why not? For £200, why wouldn't you? I mean, it kind of makes sense, really. They're up anyway. The scaffolding's already up. And when you're looking about cost, it's 7/10 of naff all, really, isn't it, by comparing to what you are spending? So I said, yeah, I'd like it done. I kind of got the feeling from the communications that we had was that they didn't really want to fit it, because I think it's a real pain in the neck. And particularly with the way that our panels are installed, we've got about, 16 panels on the front of the house. Then I've got another 4 panels on the other side of the same roof. And then I've got 4 or 5 panels, got 25 in total. What I've given you there isn't the exact split, but thereabouts. And then on the sort of at a tangent, I've got another roof surface which faces that way, where I've got another 4 or 5 panels on that. So it's awkward. There's a lot of corners and it's a lot of faffing about. I just get the impression that maybe, I didn't read the signs at the time, that maybe they didn't want to do it, but it's not something I looked into. I honestly had no idea how this stuff was going to go on or what it would even look like. So after the panels were up on the last day of the installation, the guys were starting to fit this thing. I popped out to go and get some bits and pieces from the shops. I came back and I saw the mess that was on the roof now. I got beautifully laid black JA solar panels on our roof. They looked really smart. Well, they do to me anyway. Other people might look at it and go, it's just ugly. I think my wife even thinks they're ugly. But in terms of what you can achieve from solar panels, they look smashing. And then what we had was this birdcage galvanized steel netting, which fixes on, so this is the netting, if you like, and this is the panel. It fixes onto the side of the panel. And then they had this kind of skirt which sort of folded out by about a foot all the way outside the panel. And now I'm sure that is the correct way of fitting it, because obviously you want it to follow the contours of the roof tile so that nothing can get underneath. But it looked dreadful. It really did. And I was kind of looking at it and thinking, these guys are crawling all over the panels and it's getting late in the day and you can see they're really struggling with it. I don't like it. I don't think they like it. It's a couple £100 down the drain, but you know what? I can't walk out of my house, turn around and just see this wire mesh appalling mess all over the roof when I've spent money to try and make it look as aesthetically pleasing as you can make a solar array. So I just said, stop, stop. It looks dreadful, and words to that effect, and to which they agreed. Yeah, it doesn't look nice. It's on the front of the house, so yeah, it's got to be economical. It's got to be serve a purpose, but really, half of it's got to look nice. That's the other part of the deal. Otherwise, I'd have gone with some other sort of setup. So we canned it, and it was, well, two mistakes really: not looking into it, and two, not having it done when we had the installation. Because, as I say, ever since then, it's been driving me nuts, absolutely potty. In fact, it got to a point where I just didn't look forward to coming home because these damn things are driving me. You might say get a life, but seriously, it drives you mad. If any of you have had this. So, what are we going to do about it now? Now I need to do the research, which I should have done in the first place, and got this netting up. So I called around a few companies. I called one of the companies. I didn't actually call the company that installed them because obviously I knew what they were going to do. And I felt a bit embarrassed as well, to be honest with you, because I didn't look into it, and I looked into everything else. I do pride myself on my research. So I didn't want to go back to them and say, look, I balls this now. Can we look at a different way of doing it? And I'm sure they would have come out and they probably would have come and done a similar job. But now we've got no scaffolding. How on earth are you going to get up there and do this? I don't know. And our solar panels go right up to the edge of the roof line as well, and it's a 50-degree pitch. So God knows how they're going to do it. So anyway, I called a few companies. One of the companies that I didn't go with, which are based quite close to me here, who provided some estimates for our original installation. I called them and they said they did it, but they're not competitive. They do it at a time of installation, but subsequent installations they're not price competitive. So they subcontract that work out to a company called Pestox. So I called up this guy called Ted. I explained to him that I want it installed, but I want it installed in a particular way. I don't just want the same job as before, because obviously that would be completely pointless. So what I wanted, because we've got black panels, is I wanted a black mesh. I want it galvanized, but I want it coated in black so that it matches the panel. That's not too difficult to source that, I shouldn't imagine. But more specifically, I didn't want that sort of skirt effect over the panel. What I wanted, and I'm looking online, it's definitely possible to do, but it requires some cutting, is literally a straight edge down. So from the side of the panel, straight down to where it touches the roof tile. Now, while roof tiles do this, so of course, if you're touching the sort of the peak of the apex, there is a little bit at the bottom where a very small animal might be able to get through. But to be honest with you, if a pigeon isn't going to get in there, and I can't imagine what else would get in there. If it's that small, it can find its way out. So I don't think anything's going to be trapped. But that's what I wanted done. So it was going to become a lot more work, because it wasn't just a case of getting a wide roll like that and slapping it up against it and then bending the bottom part out. It had to be cut. So I was very clear with what we wanted. Anyway, got it all sorted. Sort of a couple of weeks later, sent some photographs over to a chap there called Ted, who does what it looks like most of the installations. Pestox also do pest control, so they'll clear out rats and mice and all that sort of stuff. And part of their work is solar netting, which obviously they did for us. But the key thing, what saved us a bit of money, it wasn't cheap mine getting this done, but and I don't think it'd be fair for me to say how much it cost me, because that's really up to you to negotiate with your installer, whoever that might be. But it's not cheap, let's put it that way. But it's for peace of mind. It's worth its weight in gold. So I forget where I was going with that now. So yeah, a lot toing and froing. We've got the data all sorted out and stuff. What saved me the money, or saved me quite a bit of money, was not having any scaffolding up and around the house. I'm trying to get my words out now. Trying to get any scaffolding around the house, because one, that takes time to get to erect. It's costly, and it's there for a week or 2 weeks. It's an eyesore, and the job's only going to take a day, so it doesn't seem like a lot of point. So what he used was like a sort of carabiner and ropes and sort of foothold loop ladders. I got to be honest, it looked a little bit precarious at times when he was sort of splayed out over the panels in shifting himself around. But I know the panels can take up to about 200 pounds over their surface, and he's only a slight fella, so he wasn't like treading on them. But he's done this many times before, so I wasn't concerned. It just looked a little precarious. Perhaps if some scaffolding was up and around the house, he would have had an easier time of it, but then it would have cost me more money. So that's where the savings can be made, and he certainly had a good workout climbing around the panels. So he's done a fantastic job all the way around the outside. Now is this nice neat black mesh which you can barely see. I've got a photograph here for you which I can show you, and I sit here now in peace. The pigeons are still there. They just walk along the ridge tiles, realise they can't get in, and then they fly off to my neighbours over there, so I don't have the problem anymore. So the whole purpose of this really is just sort of say to you that you can get it done at time of installation. If you do a little bit of research and make sure that you get what you want, and that you get the effect that you want and the result and the finish that you want. So just bear in mind, if you just say just get it done, then you probably will end up with this sort of galvanized steel mesh. And if it's on the back of the house or you're not going to see it, then to be honest, it doesn't matter. It does the job, so you're never going to see it. But if it's like mine, it's on the front of the house, or you're going to see it, depending on the elevation and where you spend your time in the garden, and you want something a little bit neater and it matters to you, then get it done. But I would say if there are a lot of pigeons in your area, and you'll know that from where you live, get it done, because as soon as these buggers see a solar panel, they'll get underneath it, because it's protection for them. It's toasty warm, probably. They can coo to their heart's content without predators, and it'll drive you absolutely nuts. Anyway, hope you have got something from this, and it's been of some use, and you can learn from my mistakes, and you're a little bit better prepared for when you're looking at your solar netting protection if you go down that road. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.